is the greatest moment in my life.
Hello. Magsy getting a big mouthful of big dicks there.
Yes. Gotta start the show with a big old gobful of dicks. How are you, sir?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Obviously, the tone is already incredibly low for the show. Set it as we mean to start and carry on, I suppose.
Just start at the bottom and tunnel down.
Yes, indeed. Obviously, we are referencing Big Dick's Coffee and nothing else before anyone tries to
Even though they did ignore me on Instagram. They haven't read my message yet about sponsorship, but hopefully soon. No, ignorant.
Oh, bad dicks. Ignorant dicks. Be dicks. Rude dicks.
This is never, ever going to stop being funny.
I'm not being, to be honest, chain wrestling for a long, long time has effectively been best part of a 2-hour show with roughly 45 minutes talking about wrestling, and the rest of the time...
That's a good week's episode.
and the rest of the time making jokes about farts and dicks and poo and stuff. So, nothing's really changed, to be fair.
Par for the course.
Exactly, mate. So, just the way it is, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, sponsor us, big dicks, you bastards. I want some tea bags.
Brilliant.
That's probably not the best way to go about getting a sponsorship, is it? To call them all bastards.
I mean, they may like being called bastards. They may be subs.
Who are we kidding, mate? They don't watch this shit. Anyway. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever and whenever you may be listening or watching from. This is Chain Wrestling Live with Mags and Si, the original, the first, and the best. And I'm going to say that every freaking week until all the imposter shows are the same name as us. Fuck off. A Radio Tekkers production. I am Si, and with me, as always, is the phenomenal, to my sometimes impossible, the Siles Clash, to my embarrassing rash, but we're not going to cover that, that's a personal matter. A podcaster who insists you can't see him. The podfather himself, Lord Mags. How is your week been, sir?
Kerblab. It's been interesting, fun. Yeah, we had a good time. We watched the cup final yesterday, which was a big barrel of laughs, especially watching Chelsea's Twitter explode. Had a good time. UFC as well, back at the weekend, so cannot complain at all. And then I get to start a fresh week talking to you.
Yay. That's the highlight though, mate. Yeah, sure.
it's certainly the highlight.
Yeah. I'm at bleary-eyed again this week, Magsy, mate. It's just Mondays, isn't it? Because also I've got a proper job again.
I've got a proper job again.
Yeah, I've got a proper job again now. So Mondays now is like, it's like a proper Monday, isn't it, for me now? So I'm like, tired,
Working that 9 to 5 grand again, sir.
Oh, I don't do that many hours. Fuck that.
Brilliant. Awesome.
No, I'm loving it, mate. I'm loving it. Starting my second week at my new job. I'm really enjoying it. It's great.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it carries on going as well as it has done so far. So yeah.
I know we spend a lot of time taking the piss, but yeah, I'm glad you are in a better place now, sir.
Yeah, hopefully so, pal. Just need to have the money start rolling in from it now, and obviously Sharon's got her little venture that she's working on as well. So, this time next year, Magsy,
be billionaires, rodders.
Oh, mate, we got to get on. Anyway, because we've got an absolutely chocker show this week.
Mm-hmm. The CWF has smashed it out of the park this week.
As always, mate, but this week was just like incredible. So many responses to the non-wrestling topic. So many on Twitter. Some have come through to me on WhatsApp again. I'm going to read through them as best I can. If I miss any, I apologise. Okay, when we get to that.
Matt Willis, we will miss yours on purpose. You absolute melt writing a fucking script. I know you were going to be calm about it and not put him on blast. But that is ridiculous. An 18-page script. It's a quote, not a fucking manifesto.
It's a long old speech, mate. It's a long old speech, isn't it? It's like, and it's a back and forth between like 3 or 4 different characters as well. So don't get me wrong, I enjoyed reading it to myself.
But it was quite,
I liked it, But yeah, it's a bit long maybe for the purposes of what we were looking for, but we will touch upon it when we get to that portion of the show. But Magsy, shall we have a quick look who's joining us in the chat and then jump on with the Hall of Lane?
We shall. So in the chat, straight away, Sharon, it's Monday, and you know what that means. Dan Griffin, evening folks, and he chimes in on the big dicks. They need to step up the game. It's hard work defending big dicks, and I don't want to be too stiff about it. I don't want to go off half cocked, but it's about time they pulled their act together. Dan asking if the teabag line was intentional.
Last week it was. This week completely accidental.
And also Scottish Danny in the chat as well. This weekend saw the first meeting of the Council of Dans in that there London, which was interesting. A bit of a fallout as well when one of the Scottish version of Danny said that Chelsea was going to win the cup. Sharon saying we should be receiving a parcel, and I did get an email confirming that a parcel is on the way. So yeah, I'll be waiting with a bated breath for that. And Sharon's going to do a takeover on Facebook at the Moor, so she'll be back and forth, but she can hear us all the time. Oh, that's cool. See, multitasking. Us blokes can't do that.
Obviously, we're far more important.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? But that's nice.
Dan, you mean Matt went overboard on something? I refuse to believe it. He did. He honestly did, and I'm sure Sal will show you the script that he sent.
Shall I just do it now? If I bring it up now, shall I just bring it up
shall.
Now? Bear with me just a moment. Okay. This is the start of the message. Apologies if it's not very clear. And obviously apologies to those on the audio podcast version listening later in the week. This is going to make no sense to you, but I'm too lazy to cut it out, so it's still going to be there when you press play later in the week. You can see the start of the message there. Okay, that's long enough, you know? But what you can't see is just at the bottom here, it says read more. So you click on the read more, and it drops down, and then we have all of this.
And bear in mind, I mean, we'll get to it, but the non-wrestling topic was about quotations.
I said speeches as well, to be fair, but this is like a...
Yeah, but not Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech tapped out in Comic Sans.
Okay. You're proper narky about this, aren't you? You're angry.
I'm not angry. I'm as joyous as I was last week. So listen, it's on you to keep that up. Yeah, don't bring me down like you did last week with your pernickettiness. I can never get cross at your cherubic face, sir.
I wasn't being pernickety. I really struggled to say that word then. Pernickety. I wasn't being pernickety. I was just trying to make sure that we, answered the CWS questions accurately.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
that's what it come down to.
We'll not revisit that.
No,
that's in the past. Let's not rake over old coals.
No, there's plenty more that we can argue about.
Sharon in the chat saying she's wrote books smaller than that. I assume she means shorter than that, just to be pedantic. And Scottish Dan, just to show how different the two picks were. His submission was 6 words. Matt's was 6 pages.
But I appreciate the commitment to the cause, Matt. So thank you very much for that.
We do. We're giving him grief, but we do appreciate it.
I just realised looking at the screen behind us here. I'm assuming what I can see on the screen is what people can see on the screen when they're watching. Yep. I'm guessing. Yes. Okay. Yep. So you've got just below you the chain wrestling logo.
There.
Yeah. Just below me, it looks like we're sponsored by KFC.
That's because the SummerSlam 2016 was sponsored by KFC.
Yeah. It's a shame.
And it also, it looks at the top corner as if somebody called Mega Lewis 100 did this picture, which I don't know because I stole it off Google.
Because chain wrestling says, fuck copyright. And yes, that is a t-shirt I'm working on because merch is coming soon. Trust me. It's going to say literally that. Magsy, should we jump into the Hall of Fame then? Hall of Lame, sorry. Oh my goodness.
This is famous. Don't get me wrong, so let's do it.
The Hall of
What you got for us, mate?
Okay, so as you know, I'm part of another wrestling podcast in a Changing Attitude, where
You mean you don't only do this one show? This isn't it for you?
this is certainly not it. If only, sir, I'd have plenty of free time on my hands.
You don't sit around the rest of the week just going, I wish I was busier.
Yes. Is it Monday yet? No, still Tuesday. No, so I'm part of another podcast with an amazing team that are way more entertaining than I. Colin McAlday, part of that team. He's suddenly part of every podcasting team, I think, in the wrestling community, but also Ori's there, and Tanner. And we're in the early parts of 1997, but we did start back in 1996 when probably one of the worst gimmicks that wrestling's ever seen was a major part of the show. Essentially the revisiting of Diesel and Razor with fake Razor and fake Diesel, but that's not actually the part that I want to put in, because I'm sure that deserves a spot all of its own. What I actually want to
like putting that in this week myself, actually, but I'm not going to. Carry on.
Well, it's still up there to put in, because I want to focus on a specific part of that storyline, and it's one that was such a misfire that it kind of took a long time for wrestling to get over it, and it was turning Jim Ross heel. The best commentator in the business at that time, arguably still one of the best commentators in the business now. The guy's had a 40-year career of being the voice of wrestling, from the best play-by-play, had amazing teammates as commentators, going back from Paul Heyman, Jerry Lawler, even struggled with along with Vince McMahon, but they turned him heel to be the kind of manager for Razor and Diesel, and it just went down like a fart in church. He clearly wasn't comfortable with the situation. He did get the opportunity to air a lot of maybe real grievances that he had with WWE, especially focusing on him being fired for Bell's palsy and being stripped of multiple jobs, and being passed over for pay-per-views. But it's just the voice of everybody's childhood who was a wrestling fan being used in what was always going to be a flop of a storyline, and being turned heel and then turning backface with no kind of explanation on it. Yeah, it's the Jim Ross heel turn that goes into the Hall of Fame for me this week.
Yeah, it was horrible, and it was an absolute shambles. Like you said there, Maxie, turning him back with no explanation as well. It was just so bad. It wasn't even like it was a well done turn, and then the character just sucked. Mm-hmm. The whole thing sucked.
Yeah, there was no redeeming factor of it.
Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. No, very, very worthy of its spot in the Hall of Fame. I am going to go back a little bit further than that.
Okay.
The individual
when Lex Luger and Barry Windham were rocking about.
There will never be a mention of Barry Windham with regards to the Hall of Fame. I will simply not have it. I will throw a tantrum. I will pull the plug on the show, and I will walk out.
The Stalker.
Not going to happen. Still Barry Windham.
We'll see you next week.
Oh, yeah, next week. That's what's going to happen now, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. No, it's not Barry Windham, the Stalker, or anything like that. However, it is someone who does have quite a bit of experience, I guess, wrestling in similar circles as Barry Windham in the 80s and maybe a touch before. Because he was actually one half of the Fabulous Ones, which was a tag team that knocked around similar time, similar circles. But however, when this individual made his way to the WWF, he didn't come in as his actual name. He didn't come in as one of the Fabulous Ones in a tag team or anything like that. He came in as an alligator hunter.
Are you slating Skinner?
Yes, I am.
Really?
Yes, I am. Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely.
That's a hot take for me.
Really?
Yeah. It's Steve Kern. Is it called Steve Kern?
Yes, that's right, Steve Kern. Yeah, he was also Doink the Clown at one stage.
Yeah, so we've spoke about him on one of the That 90s Wrestling podcast pay-per-view reviews, and he essentially came to WWE as a kind of final payday. So he was very kind of he was high up on the card. He was never in the spots to challenge for titles, but he certainly made the most of his run in the WWF. Yeah, the gimmick is a bit dated now, but at the time, I thought that was a decent gimmick, and he was a decent wrestler as well.
Oh yeah, no, I've got no issues at all with Steve Keirn himself, and he did well as one of the Doinks. He did great stuff in the tag team days beforehand. I mean, yeah, something stupid like 17 tag title reigns in the AWA or 20 tag title reigns in the AWA or something daft like that. Crazy amount anyway. My issue is with the Skinner.
The Stinger.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a spicy thing.
Yeah, there we go. My issue is...
Woo! We can fuck off with that.
My issue is with the Skinner character and the vignettes themselves. Okay? It is absolutely shocking. If you go back and watch some of these vignettes of when Skinner was going to be debuting, and he's coming up through the water, and he's supposed to be in the Everglades and the swamps and all this sort of stuff, okay? But he's like completely clean. His hat is brand new. His knife is like sparkling in the sun, and he's there going, "Oh, I'm going to catch myself some gators, and then I'm going to come to the WWF." It's like, okay, those two things make no sense at all when you put them in the same sentence.
Unless he was on the kind of Florida loop.
Well, yeah. And then this is the biggest issue. Well, a couple of other issues I got. The stupid little crocodile claw that he used as an outside weapon. Mm-hmm. That was just bloody ridiculous. Let's be honest. That was ridiculous.
The tobacco chewing.
And that's the biggest issue, mate. That's the biggest thing I've got about it. He's talking.
He chewed tobacco.
It's not the chewing tobacco. It's the spit and the gob and And there's one vignette on. You can find it quite easily on YouTube. You just type into YouTube Skinner and WWF and it comes up. He's talking away about coming to face Hulk Hogan and that big fella, the Ultimate Warrior, and all this sort of stuff. And as he's talking, I don't think it's intentional because he almost takes himself by surprise. But this big dollop of brown tobacco spit just flies out and dangles on his beard, and it makes me retch, mate. It makes me retch. So that's what I'm putting in, mate. I got no issue with Steve Keirn beforehand, no issue with him after. Good luck to the fella. But Skinner, nah, straight in the Hall of Fame, pal.
I mean, normally we have really kind of similar mentalities when it comes to wrestling. All joking aside with the Lex Luger and Barry Windham bullshit, but that's a spicy take. I don't know if I may have to take Dan Griffin's advice.
Veto it, Mags. He says there in the chat. Can't do that, mate. Can't do that. That's not this show, is it?
That's fair. I think it's Saz made an absolute fool of himself with that pick, but let him fall on his sword, sir.
Whatever, mate. Whatever. You're putting the greatest commentator of all time in the Hall of Fame. You should hang your head in shame, pal.
Yeah. When he was at his very worst. And
Mr. Steve Keirn at his very worst.
He was getting a final payday before he rode off into the Everglades.
I've got no issues with that. I've got no issues with that, mate.
Bill's on his fan boat.
His fan boat. Bills have got to be paid. I've got no issues with that at all, mate. But it's just a shit gimmick. And that's the whole point of the Hall of Fame. It's a shit gimmick. He's a fucking crocodile hunter. It's a shit gimmick.
Okay. We'll agree to disagree. I think you're wrong.
I think I'm right. So anyway, those are your Hall of Fame entrants this week. Jim Ross's horrific heel turn and Skinner. Both thoroughly deserved.
Hashtag justice for Skinner. I think
justice for Skinner. Bollocks. Okay, before we get on to this week's non-wrestling topic, I want to really quickly touch upon last week's. We did a Ask Us Anything again last week and had fantastic interaction once again from everybody in the CWF,
absolutely.
Twitter, and all that. Absolutely, you lot are fantastic.
Give yourself a massive round of applause. You are absolute legends.
It's literally, I sound like a stuck record, but this show does not exist without you. So you're awesome. However, one question came in after we'd already recorded the live version, and that was from @HandyT1TF. So I thought we'd quickly answer it now, Magsy. The question Handy asked was our top 3 male UK vocalists.
Okay.
So it's quite specific. It's male and it's UK singers. What have you got? Have you got any that you sort of stand out to you hugely?
Yep. So number one is probably Richard Ashcroft,
Okay.
formerly of the Verve. Number two, I mean, this is going to show my kind of indie roots,
Right.
but I think Liam Gallagher. Even though it's very kind of rough, and it certainly is not someone who's gone to any kind of vocal training school, he's got a passion there, you can tell. And then I think I'm going to go with Paul Weller for the third one. Yeah, again, really revealing my indie rock roots there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, it's very much in the sort of hard rock, heavy metal kind of bracket.
I would be shocked if it was pop.
Yeah.
If you went Robbie Williams, Gary Barlow, Mark Owen, I would be shocked.
I mean, Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden is one of my favourite singers of all time. Absolutely fantastic. I love the band Thunder. So Danny Bowes from Thunder, I think, is superb as well. That guy's vocals are just absolutely insane. Third one, I really struggled with. Even though there's so many out there, it's like being put on the spot. You know, mine just kind of went blank. You know, I really struggled with that one.
So you're just going with two.
Third singer. Sorry.
So you're just going with two.
No. I really enjoy Blaze Bailey's work, solo stuff. He sounds better now as he's getting older than he ever did when he was back with Maiden or anything like that. I mean, there's just so many out there that are incredible. I mean, it depends how you want to go for it as well. I mean, I love Lemmy from Motorhead, but you wouldn't describe him as a great vocalist or anything like that, would you? It's just like very unique sounding.
Yeah, I'd say more unique than great, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Paul Rodgers as well is absolutely fantastic. Yeah,
Freddie Mercury in the chat, that's a great one.
Yeah, that's a great shout, Freddie Mercury as well. Yeah, there's so many. I mean, straight away, Bruce Dickinson and Danny Bowes from Thunder straight away came to my mind. After that, narrowing the last one down is just so difficult.
I mean, I think I would give a shout out maybe to Ali Jones.
Okay, what, from the Snowman?
Yeah. We're walking in the air. Being able to hit that note, that's got some talent.
That was immense. That's blatantly getting clipped. Anytime you sing, it ends up on the intro to the show. Are you aware of this?
I'm fully aware. I am fully aware. Ends up on TikTok now as well.
Brilliant. Oh, is that what I show on TikTok?
Hmm?
Is that what I show on TikTok?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is giving them a peek behind the curtain. I don't know if we should be revealing this, but I create the TikToks, I pass you the TikToks, and then I also share the TikToks.
Yeah, there we go. And then I try and share the TikToks and get my hair off because I've got to download this and share this and just get really pissed off of it. And eventually, then all of a sudden it's there, and I'm like, oh, that was easy. And I'll go through the same thing the next week.
It's almost like you don't learn.
Well, there is that, potentially. There is that. I just got so much important information in my head. I can't squeeze anything else in. That's what it comes down to.
You remind me of conversations I have with Mrs. Maggs. If she gets some new information, it pushes out some information that she's already retained. She's like a computer hard drive. Once it's full, you've got to get rid of something else before you can put something new in there.
Amazing. And Matt Willis in the chat. Sorry I'm late. Hello, Matt. How you doing, friend? We've already covered your WhatsApp.
We've covered it as long as we're going to cover it. Jesus Christ.
An essay I received. Yeah. But yeah,
tell us your quotes. Tell us your favourite quotes. Matt writes out the Bible.
The Bible. It's supposed to be quite good, that.
It's all a fantasy, though.
Let's not go down that road. Bloody hell. Shall we get on with this week's non-wrestling topic? Now we have finished with last week's. Thank you, Handy T1TF on Twitter for that.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. And thank you, Andy, as well, for your continued support. It's always massively appreciated.
Right, just came in a smidge too late for us to jump on it for last week's show, but there we go. I said on Twitter that we'd have a look at it, so there we go. This week's non-wrestling topic, obviously, as we've already sort of touched upon with stuff we received from Matt and so on, is famous speeches, quotes, lines from movies, song lyrics that mean a lot to you, or whether it's or whether they just stand out because they're great or they're particularly ridiculous or anything at all really along those lines. My goodness, Max, didn't we get some responses? There's loads
and multiple responses from people as well. This touched a nerve for some people, and we massively appreciate the input because there's a lot to get through.
Yes, there is. So we will crack on. I'm going to fire through these relatively quickly because, as I said, we have got quite a few here. If any are missed, I do apologise. Shout us out if you don't hear yours. Message us if you don't hear yours. We will cover it, whether we get to it to this week or next. So we will start with.
We'll ignore it.
Well, maybe. Excuse me. We will start with the first person to respond and run through in the order they came into us as normal. And first of all was Chris at MillwallChris1 on Twitter.
Yes.
He sent us a couple of images that are from movies, quotes that he likes. One saying, "This is a scandal. What do you mean I'm not white?" From Richard Pryor.
You didn't know what this was. That was shocking.
I didn't, but as soon as he said, I was like, "Oh yeah, I have seen that film."
Yeah, it's Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder. See no evil, hear no evil.
That's right. Yeah, because one of them's blind and one of them's deaf, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a funny film. I really like it. I don't know why my mind went so blank with that. I was like, "What is that?" As soon as he said, I was like, "Oh, of course it is."
And then you did it again.
Yeah, this one I've not seen, I don't think. This one I've not seen. Chris sent another one here saying, "Anybody throws me against the boards, I'm going to piss all over myself." Apparently. Again, I don't know what that's from.
It's from Slapshot.
Yeah, I've not seen that then.
Brilliant. Thanks for your input, though, Chris. I appreciate them. I think they're really good.
Have you seen it?
Slapshot, yeah. It's a classic.
Is it good, is it? Okay. I'll check it out then.
You won't. That's
no,
a lie.
You're right. Again, I'm so predictable, aren't I? But yeah, thanks, Chris. My mum on WhatsApp, she says here, "It's hard to fly like an eagle when you're surrounded by turkeys." This is someone she used to work with. That was her boss when she used to work at a jeweler's, which I love that. That's quite a cool quote.
Yeah, it is.
At Rain Counter on Twitter, our good friend Paul Tolley. Fantastic, by the way, hearing him back on Badlands as often as he is. You know, it's great. Again, I said last week, going to and from work on the bus now, I can catch up with a lot more podcasts than I had previously. Catching up on Badlands, absolutely awesome stuff. It's great, isn't it?
I appreciate it, and yeah, it's amazing having him back. I know he was very disillusioned with the wrestling business, but yeah, just being able to spend the time shooting the shit with him and hearing his ridiculous takes on wrestling, it's just great fun.
Yeah. Paul says here, "You think that I'm a man? I beg to differ, for I am her as much as I'm me. You know, this moment in time is all my life. Every day is each day that's passed. Every person alive is everyone who's died." John Frusciante, is that?
Yep. So for those who don't know, he's the lead guitarist from Red Hot Chili Peppers, but he had a big spell where he did a lot of solo kind of out of the box, really kind of experimental music, and I think if I remember rightly, that's from one of his more outlandish albums.
Okay. And then we have Put a Little Mustard on That Mustard by Electric Six.
It had to be Electric Six. Paul adores two bands in the world, Manic Street Preachers and Electric Six. So he had to fit at least one of those in there.
They are touring in December.
He's got tickets already.
Has he really?
He's already tweeted about it.
Oh, see, I told you the idea of going because I used to work with someone who's a massive fan of Electric Six, and he kept banging on about how great they are live. And obviously the one album that had the big couple of hits off it. Yeah. That's a Stormy album. I don't know much else by them. I should really check it out. But this
I think I only really know the two major hits that they had.
That album we used to have on repeat in the warehouse. He kept telling me how great they were live. So maybe I should check it out. Maybe I'll meet you there, Tolly. It depends where you're going, I suppose. Depends where you're going. I don't want to cross the border. I'm not gonna lie.
There's this magic thing called Twitter DMs. You can synchronize almost.
Yeah, I'll message him then. There we go. Tolly also says this. I mean, this is fantastic as well. This moment was incredible, and it's up on the screen there for people to see if you're watching live as opposed to listening on the audio version. Roman Reigns after defeating the Undertaker. This is my yard now. And simple, absolutely spot on the money.
And that is just the culmination of nearly 8 minutes of crowds just ripping into him. And every time he moved the microphone, they just kept firing back in. It's one of the best short promos in wrestling. It's so damn good.
Absolutely fantastic. Just booed out the building. It just got it absolutely spot on the money, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
We have here Danny at Scottish Juggalo on Twitter.
Let's get his 6 words up.
He's not really a big Iron Sheik fan, but this is gold. And the quote is, "Don't be a jabroni to society." The Iron Sheik. Fair enough.
That is good, but there's a little bit of that one is missed off, because in almost every tweet he also says "fuck Hulk Hogan," and I think that needs to be put in there.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I was toying with the idea of, do you remember, Magsy, about a couple of months back, I said, should we have a little segment where we have like the Iron Sheik tweet of the week and just pick one that made us laugh, because he's just so funny, you know. And then I'm not gonna lie, I totally forgot about it until this exact moment now.
Brilliant.
Maybe next week there'll be an additional jingle, and we
or maybe Sal just forget about it again.
That's also an equal possibility.
Brilliant.
My sister simply sent in to me on WhatsApp. Obviously, YOLO. Okay.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Is your sister cool? Is she down with the kids?
I mean, it's not really difficult, but she's cooler than me.
I mean, literally anybody listening to the show is cooler than either of us.
Well, yeah, to be fair. But, you know, I've had to explain at my new job that I'm kind of a bit geeky. With I got wrestling podcasts and time travel sci-fi podcasts and all this sort of stuff. And everyone just sort of looks at me and nods and goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, sound." And I'm behind that expression. What are you really thinking?
and ever since he's ate his dinner alone.
Yes. MGB Graham at MGB Graham on Twitter. He says here, and you might have to help me a little bit with this, Magsy. I'm not 100% sure what this is about. Baseball's sad lexicon. Okay. Over 100 years ago, but these 3 Chicago Cubs were the best at turning the 6-4-3 double play.
No idea.
Technically a poem rather than a quote, though. The Giant was a New York fan who would, in the 50s, become the San Francisco Giants. Okay. And the quotes he has here are, "These are the saddest of possible words. Tinker to Avers to Chance. Trio of Bear Cubs and fleeter than birds. Tinker and Avers and Chance. Ruthlessly pricking our gone Fallon bubble, making a giant hit into a double. Words that are heavy, but nothing but trouble. Tinker to Avers to Chance."
Okay, so I assume Tinker, Avers, and Chance were baseball players, and they messed up and allowed the New York Giants to win, or equally they didn't win. I don't know. But you read that beautifully. I will say that. But yeah, I have no idea what Graham's on about. That's the Americanism in him. No.
To be fair, if we were like in any way, shape, or form professional, we could have looked that up and actually done a bit of research into that. And
come on, man, nah. That would change this whole podcast. If we started to be professional, we'd be on Fightful Overbooked.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, there are, as touched upon last week, there are certain episodes of the podcast where when we start the show, I've not even prepared what I've got to say at the end of the show yet, whilst we're actually still live, and it's just winging it. Like, you know, it's the way it is. You know?
This is what I have to deal with on a weekly basis, people. You don't even understand.
I turn up like 2 minutes to 9. Get messages from you saying you are legitimately late now. We have here Dan Griffin at Dan Griffin 21 on Twitter, good friend of the show. He says all mine are going to be from Doctor Who.
Now, why is that? Is that because he's now a Doctor Who geek? Kept this really close to his chest when I was talking to him about wrestling for months and months, and now all of a sudden he's all about the Doctor Who. Wonder whose influence that is. Wibbly wobbly timey wimey samey.
Twibbly wobbly timey wimey simey. That's got to be a t-shirt as well. Dan says all mine are going to be from Doctor Who. Hatred is too strong an emotion to waste on someone you don't like. From Clara Oswald on Mummy on the Orient Express, which we've actually covered for the Doctor Who pod. I think that one comes out in a couple of weeks. I love that episode. It's really good. Mm-hmm. Great men are forged in fire. It is the privilege of lesser men to light the flame. The War Doctor from the episode Day of the Doctor.
Yeah, that's what's his name?
John Hurt.
John Hurt.
Right?
That's it.
Yeah.
I wanted to say McKellen, but I knew it wasn't. I knew I was wrong.
You wanted to say who?
Ian McKellen, but I knew I was wrong. It is John.
Who
Hurt.
is Ian McKellen?
He's one of Burnley's most famous actors. He ended up playing Gandalf.
Okay. Who was the bloke who played Lovejoy?
Ian St. John? Is that? No, that's not him.
John played for Liverpool, didn't he?
Yeah. Is he called Ian Bishop?
Ian Bishop. No, he played for West Ham.
No, I know who you're on about now, and it's going to fucking annoy me because it was in John Wick as well.
The guy who played Lovejoy.
Yeah.
The antiques dealer.
Yeah, and he was in Westworld.
I've not seen Westworld.
It's going to annoy me. Let us know in the chat, folks. Who? No,
ignore the chat, Max, because everyone's slagging me off in there now.
Yeah. Who is Ian McKellen? For fuck's sake, Simon from the Misses and Sa, you beep 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 beep. Yeah.
That's like as though I've just done something in the Tokyo Dome.
And it's not like you're the only one getting grief, because Danny's also telling me he was a massive Doctor Who fan before he started podcasting about wrestling, Mags, you salty bitch.
So there we go. Anyway, no, we've established that the guy who played the guy who played Lovejoy.
It's going to annoy me, so I'm going to have to look it up.
Okay, I'll just carry on with this then. The way I see it, every life is a pile of good things.
Ian McShane.
Ian McShane, there you go. I knew it was an Ian. Millwall Chris in the chat just said Ian McShane as well. Thank you.
Oh, brilliant.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah.
We'll give that a star. I don't know if that does anything on Twitter or on YouTube, but we'll give it a star anyway.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, I didn't know you could do that. Surprise, surprise. I didn't know you could do something in here. Just a bit of context for those who don't know, and you must all be aware. Magsy controls all of this. I literally just look into the little dot there and talk. I've got no idea what I'm doing.
With his piece of paper and with his notes on the side.
There we go. Nope, just there. There we are.
Brilliant.
All we got there from Dan Griffin in the chat. Chain wrestling merch idea. A picture of Sai looking confused with the caption, "Nah, I ain't seen that." Yeah, fair enough. What do we have here, Sharon?
Is this a domestic going on?
I don't quite know what is it. The Ian McKellen thing.
Yeah, I think
is that what's really,
you have upset. You've upset the missus. You're in the bad books. Couch sleeping tonight for you, sir.
Well, actually, to be funnily enough, Sharon's not been very well for the last few days, so she slept downstairs. Because she's like coughing and whatever and whatnot through the night. So if anyone's sleeping on the couch, it's her.
Wow. Wow.
And I don't mean that in the nasty way. I mean that's literally the arrangement the last couple of nights.
That's the epitome of making your own bed and lying in it. Because you will be doing that.
I do make my bed.
Look, see what you've done, Dan. If you'd have just stuck to the wrestling, we wouldn't have had this domestic that has split the Powells asunder.
Well, yeah, there we go. I have to go live in the shed or something. Dan continues. The way I see it, every life is a pile of good things and bad things. The good things don't always soften the bad things, but vice versa. The bad things don't always spoil the good things and make them unimportant. 13th Doctor in the episode Vincent and the Doctor. That's nice. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Really, really nice.
This one, I can remember this one, but I couldn't get the words right until I see it in front of me. But I had it in my head as one that I really like, and I was going to put forward myself. So I'm glad Dan's put it on here because it saves me having to try and find it. Never be cruel, never be cowardly. Hate is always foolish. Love is always wise. Always try to be nice, but never fail to be kind. the Doctor twice upon a time. And I think that is just when Peter Capaldi was about to regenerate. It was like his big speech at the end. So that's superb. Absolutely brilliant. So yeah, thanks for all of those, Dan. That's awesome. William Kitchen. Not heard from William for a little while, actually. You know, been a few weeks, my friend. Been a few weeks. At the Appliance 180 on Twitter. Good to hear from you again, my friend.
And another Electric 6 one.
Yeah.
Twice, like buses. You wait and wait for Electric 6, then two come along at once.
There you go, look. You're just a sick machine, a certain fantasy, an alternative version of what I need. From the Electric 6 and their song Janet in the Hole. There we go. Yeah.
Brilliant.
I'm gonna have to listen.
The words to live by.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to listen to more of them. I'm gonna have to. Again, that one album was superb. So, I've got a bit more here from Dan Griffin. Actually, I've seen fake gods and bad gods and demigods and would-be gods. Out of that whole pantheon, if I believe in one thing, just one thing, I believe in her, the Doctor, the Satan bit. So yeah, that's good as well. I mean, sometimes when TV gets it right, it's bang on. And Doctor Who is one of those shows. I think when they get it right, it is so good.
Yep.
You know, so well written. You know,
and so meaningful as well. Not you could use these quotes outside the TV show, and they still have meaning in life. So yeah, it's really, really well written. Russell T Davies, I think it is, and Stephen Moffat, yeah, absolute stars of their craft.
There we go. Emerald Hills at Turd Ferguson on Twitter.
Yes.
Says here, sometimes the only choices you have are bad ones, but you still have to choose. Now, we can sympathise fully with that because last week,
last week's episode,
ketchup and brown sauce on a sausage sandwich, and was having a right fucking paddy about it.
And I chose none.
Because you're okay. Emerald Hills continues. Always try to be nice, but never fail to be kind. The 12th Doctor. Again, that's one that we had.
Stole it a little bit. Could have come up with your own there, Turd Ferguson. But, we'll let you off this time. No, it's a great quote. It really is a great
It's
quote.
absolutely fantastic. And they continue here saying 12's war speech, as in the 12th Doctor. 12's war speech makes him cry every time. This has turned into a bit of a Doctor Who loving this week, hasn't it?
I don't know if it makes him cry, since she's a girl, female, of the female persuasion.
Oh, okay. I do apologise. I didn't realise.
It's fine.
All right. Okay. I'm sorry. Let's move on before I embarrass myself any further. It has turned into a bit of a Doctor Who loving this week, though, hasn't it?
I know. It's almost like we maybe you have a Doctor Who podcast. I don't know if that's accurate.
At the Doctor Who pod on Twitter and Facebook, if you want to find it, track it down and have a listen. It's very, very, very good, even if I do say so myself. Connor Knows Soccer, at Connor Knows on Twitter. A quote here from Christian Pulisic, I think he's a Chelsea footballer, isn't he, Max? American Chelsea player.
Yep, and I think he's still a relatively young pup, about 23, 24 years old. So very wise words.
Pulisic?
No, Pulisic.
Oh, okay, right. He says here, you owe it to yourself to be the best you can be. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Almost like a motivational sort of thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Great quote.
Yeah, excellent stuff. We have here a couple from a friend of mine that sent to me over WhatsApp. Bear with me a second. Here we go. He says that the lyrics to Charles and Eddie's Would I Lie to You, Baby? It means a great deal to him.
Eyes, can't you see they're open wide? Would I lie to you, baby? Would I lie to you? Oh, yeah.
Beautiful. This is because his daughter used to sing. This is my friend Ash. His daughter used to sing along to it when she was aged around 2. And so that means a great deal to him.
Oh, that is... I mean, sorry for ruining it then. I jumped the gun a little bit there. Yeah. But yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely destroyed it. Movie quotes, Ash continues. Forrest Gump, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. A fairly obvious one, he says, but he's watched the movie many times, and that one always rings true as well. That's the famous Forrest Gump quote, but it's not my favourite one. My favourite one is, I know I'm not a smart man,
but I know what love is. That just pierces me like a dagger when he says that, because Jenny's obviously basically pushing him away. And it just gets me in the feels.
Yeah, that's good. I have seen that film. Amazingly enough, we need some kind of celebratory.
I need some Zantac
effects now. Ash continues. A good quote for him is maybe "Dance like no one is watching." Ash gets involved in a lot of dance weekends and travels all over the UK doing various different bits and bobs like that. He was up north somewhere weekend just gone at some dance meetup. So that's I understand where he's coming from with that. And lastly, he says he's been reading lots of quotes about anger and frustration and so on. And one that really stood out to him was "Control your anger before your anger controls you." I mean, that's quite good as well, isn't it?
It is. And the dance one is very reminiscent of one that I've seen so many times, and I don't know if I'm getting this exactly right, but it goes something like, life isn't about avoiding thunderstorms, but it's about learning how to dance in the rain. So yeah, really kind of like positive, motivational quote. Yeah, I really like that one.
Yeah, fair enough, mate, fair enough. We have here Steve-O.
Oh, God. Before you get on to that, Millwall Chris said Jenny from Forrest Gump is the biggest heel in film history. Really? I mean, she does die of cancer. I don't know if... Heel?
Yeah, I mean, just because someone's dead doesn't mean they were nice. I mean, Hitler's dead.
Hitler.
I'm not likening Jenny from
Jenny.
Forrest Gump to Hitler. I'm not saying Jenny from Forrest Gump's as bad as Hitler in any way, shape, or form.
Wow.
Yeah, he's
I may not be a smart man, Jenny, but I know what genocide is.
Oh dear! I mean, don't get again. I'm not comparing the two. You know, Hitler's. You know, he's obviously got quite the reputation for being a.
He's got a bit of a reputation. Oh, Millwall Chris doubling down. Serves her right. She deserved that cancer. What a bitch.
Why? Let's move on before we get cancelled, because this is getting into some really dodgy territory. This is bad. Steve-O on Twitter. At Total Steve-O.
He ran with this. Let's just say.
He loved it. And I'll tell you what, when we put this up as a non-wrestling topic, I thought, I bet Steve-O's got some bloody gold for us. Because it's the sort of thing I imagine to be right up his street, you know? Mm-hmm. We will start here then. He says, I could literally be here all day. So to make the pod longer, here goes. And again, some of these you might have to help me out with, Magsy. Ho, ho, ho. If it isn't fat, stinking Billy Goat Billy Boy. Hi, 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 Mr. Deltoid. Ooh, and what's so stinking about it? How the bloody hell did you get in? Get out or I'll throw you out. Yeah, apparently it's from a Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, I bet you've not seen that.
I've not.
That's about 40 years old as well. How have you not seen Clockwork Orange? It's a great film.
Just because something's old.
Very out there.
It.
It's very, very out there. Stanley Kubrick is he's an icon, but also mad as a box of frogs.
Right.
But yeah, definitely go and watch that.
Is that the one? Oh no, I'm thinking of something else, aren't I? The one with all the mopeds.
That's Quadrophenia.
Okay, but that's similar sort of time, isn't it?
Totally different.
Yeah, but I'm thinking similar sort of time.
Yeah, it's more a Clockwork Orange. Yeah, it's set in a similar time, but it's more, I want to say, dystopian. Okay. Kind of like an alternative look at the youth of Britain.
Okay, I've seen Quadrophenia.
Brilliant. Not applicable in the slightest, but yeah.
Analogy.
I dare say that she was.
Yeah. Anyway, Steve continues. That's a Clockwork Orange, and gonna laugh out loud, knowing you won't have a clue what they are. Yeah, he's right. I didn't have a clue what they are.
And he absolutely nailed it.
You won't have a clue what they are. The accents are how it's supposed to be expressed. He also says here, Steve-O, the lyric by Killswitch Engage, "Are we alive or just breathing?" Yeah. During the Royal Rumble 2000, Test boots Big Boots, the boss man. And he and his brother always loved the line by JR, "What a shot" by Test. Okay.
That's brilliant.
He says here he used to listen to the old XFM radio shows of Gervais, Merchant, and Pilkington. Hundreds of lines. You're an idiot. No, he says here. Suzanne asked me for a neck rub. I couldn't be bothered, so I let one go.
and if you do have some time to spend, and I'm sure that they're up on YouTube, you can watch the Carl Pilkington, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Pilkington podcast. I think it's called the Ricky Gervais Show.
Yeah, it's like cartoony sort of drawing.
Yeah, it's hilarious. The guy is a fucking clown.
I think you can get it on like Sky or cable as well, like on the on-demand, like the 3 side of it. You know.
Yeah.
Definitely
it's
so
go check them out.
So funny.
It's hilarious.
Steve-O continues. How is Jonathan? I hate him. He says here. And he says he's also sure at Spinner's podcast can throw in some more, but we didn't hear off Spinner's podcast. So, Steve-O, you're wrong. He can't throw in any more. Once again, you have no context, which makes it funnier. We mentioned speeches. Andy Millman in the Extras Christmas edition is even more poignant for today's society. I've seen Extras, but I don't remember that speech.
Okay. I think it's the one Ricky Gervais vehicle that I haven't sat through and watched. I've seen odd episodes of it, but yeah, it's not as enthralling as The Office or Derek or After Laugh. Yeah, I've just not got around to sitting through it all.
Yeah, it made me laugh. I remember it being quite funny, but I always like.
It's where he's the actor, isn't it? He's playing the actor.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And some of the guest stars they have on the show, like really, really big names as well, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. I thought it was quite good. I don't know why I haven't gone back and watched it more, to be fair. But Steve-O carries on anyway. The speech legit nearly brings him to tears. The way Gervais delivers it, it's perfect. There's hundreds of Office quotes, in-betweeners, faulty towers. I recently voice messaged my mate the classic scene. No, it's a Siberian hamster. Die Hard 3, Steve-O says. Oh my God, lock stock. He quotes a scene a day at least. Armed with what? Bad breath, colourful language, feather duster, guns you tit. Lock stock's brilliant, isn't it?
It's so quotable as well. It's the most Cockney film going. Yeah. It's so good.
Guns, a minute ago, this was the simplest job in the world. Now all of a sudden it's become a bad day in Bosnia. He said he's such a big fan of Clockwork Orange. He said thanks to his dad, he has the script book, and he included a picture, and that's awesome, isn't it?
That is pretty cool, and that logo is such a brilliant piece of art as well.
Yeah, totally. Steve also continues. How can I forget the Bill? He's a massive Bill fan, isn't he? Like obsessive with the Bill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he loves the Bill.
See, I don't think I've really I've seen bits and bobs when I was younger, but I suppose I was too young for it to get it. If that makes sense.
The Bill was always kind of one of those shows that if you were good, you got to stay up and watch.
Okay. No, see, I don't remember. Again, I can remember the music, and at the end is like the
walking away.
Yeah, they're walking down the road, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
I mean, you must remember some of the characters, surely, like Carter, Hollis, Quinnen, Smithy, Deanne Burnside.
Okay, the guy who was, he was in Grange Hill and he was in EastEnders. Cheryl, I know his name, so we were talking about him literally last night. He played Pauline Fowler's son in EastEnders.
Mark.
And he got HIV. Yeah, Mark, yeah.
Todd Carter.
That's it, Todd Carter. Was he in the Bill?
He may have been. I don't really remember him.
Okay, perhaps he wasn't.
Steve-O will know. Steve-O knows like literally every character from. He knows their whole trajectory from starting in the Bill to how they finished.
That's great, isn't it? Especially if you're into something, that intense. I mean, like me and Benny talk Quantum Leap all the time. I talk Doctor Who with Dan. I just love it,
You talk about Benny. He's in the chat saying he's stay up late show if he was good. Was Red Dwarf.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I used to like Red Dwarf.
It's cold outside. There's no kind of atmosphere.
We're getting all the hits from Magsy this week, aren't we?
And we should do a chain wrestling album.
We should not. And anyway, Steve says here, how can I forget the bill? One that always stands out is when legend Superintendent Chandler, played by the legend Stephen P. Hartley, his first episode in it, he puts on a party and just says to Vicky, "You look fantastic." It's just lodged in my brain. Again, I've got no real context because I don't know the characters or anything like that. But I mean, it ran for so long as well, didn't it? So it must have been good because it don't stay on telly if it's crap, do it? Let's be honest.
I enjoyed it when it was on RTV. Well, I think the majority of it was on RTV, but I kind of tuned out when it went a little bit new school. But yeah, I think it's on repeat on like UK Gold or something like that pretty much every single day.
Okay. I had a WhatsApp response from my younger brother, Aid, and he says he reckons my dad would say, "Feel your hand, you son of a bitch," which is his text ringtone. So whenever you message my old man, it shouts that out in John Wayne's voice. My dad's a massive John Wayne fan, and that's obviously, reference to grabbing your guns and so on, isn't it? But yeah, that's something my dad's... You hear it all the time because his phone's constantly going off. It's just John Wayne shouting, calling you a son of a bitch all the time. So, and AD says, "Game over, man. Game over" from Aliens. He just loves that quote, apparently. So, yeah, definitely. Mindless Wrestling Podcast at the Mindless Pod on Twitter. Movie quote: "We're criminals, Alfred. We always have been." Batman versus Superman, I think that is BVS. No Batman iteration has encapsulated who and what Batman is better than that, he says here. Song lyric: "Hold on to 16 as long as you can. Changes come round real soon. Make us women and men." John Cougar, Jack and Diane. I'm not familiar with that.
Is that the song? I know there's a song, Jack and Diane, but I don't know that particular song lyric. It's like, "This is a ditty about Jack and Diane."
Okay.
But
No, don't ring a bell.
Still a cool quote.
Yeah.
Whether we know the song or not.
There we go. That's all we got, Magsy. That's all we got. Have you got any that stand out to you, my friend?
So for song lyrics, one of the I think one of the most underrated lines from a song is from Oasis, a song called "Cast No Shadow," and it's "As he faced the sun, he cast no shadow." That's about Richard Ashcroft, who I mentioned earlier in the show.
Okay.
And it's basically how Noel, who was the writer for Oasis, had Richard on such a kind of pedestal as being like a massive influence to him that essentially he doesn't cast a shadow because he's at the very, very top of his game. So that was always, I thought, a cool line. In terms of a movie, one of the, I mean, it's not as kind of emotive as the Richard Ashcroft one, but one of the best lines from a film, and it always gets me, is from Blade, the Wesley Snipes vampire movie, and when he's facing Stephen Dorff at the end, and just as he's killing him, he comes out with one of the best signature lines when you're finishing off your enemies. "Some motherfuckers always want to try and ass skate uphill." I think it's just a brilliant line. And in terms of TV, I've got loads. I mean, I could quote Family Guy or The Simpsons or In-Betweeners, Friday Night Dinner all day. But one line that I've kind of like took as a personal mantra, it's from a show called The RT Crowd. And it's a character called Roy. He says says a line, and it just epitomises how I feel about society in general. So he's asked about meeting people, and he says, "Oh, people, I've met a lot of them." And then he comes out with this quip: "People, what a bunch of bastards." And it's just the best line in the world.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I got a couple here that have literally just been sent over to me from my wonderful, amazing wife. She says here, "Found my faith living in sin. I'm no Jesus, neither are you, my friend. Search and Destroy by 30 Seconds to Mars." That's back when I think they were actually still quite good, isn't it? Because their later albums are ropey as fuck.
It's that Jared Leto. He just lets the band right down.
I'm gonna be in so much trouble, Max.
Riding the coattails of the rest of the band. And he's ugly as fuck. What an ugly. That's the kind of child that you would have slapped the mum after giving birth.
Oh dear. And also from The Crow, It Can't Rain All the Time. I love that. Sharon sent that one in as well. I love that. That's awesome.
It's a good one.
Most of mine that stand out are just stuff from Lemmy from Motorhead, because I just think the guy is absolutely fascinating. I mean, if anyone's ever not had the opportunity yet, seek out his book, White Line Fever. It's just an absolutely fantastic story about this bloke's life. He was the son of a vicar. He was a roadie for Jimi Hendrix. He got kicked out of Hawkwind, not for taking drugs, but for taking the wrong drugs.
Brilliant.
Because they were all like...
For taking prescription drugs. You took paracetamol, get out.
He was a speed freak, and Hawkwind was all like psychedelic stuff and all that sort of stuff.
Not enough acid or LSD mixed in.
Yeah, blatantly, yeah. And he had many friends who passed away through, drugs and all sorts of stuff. Absolutely fantastic story. And the guy is just incredibly honest in this book. But there's so many quotes you hear from interviews and so on as well. I mean, one I got here, people don't read anymore. It's a sad state of affairs. Reading is the only thing that allows you to use your imagination. When you watch films, it's someone else's vision, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean,
that's actually a brilliant quote. I've never heard that at all, but that is brilliant. Yeah. I sometimes feel sad for society in general that people just don't read enough anymore.
Yeah, definitely. Another one from Lemmy here. It seems that our brave new world is becoming less tolerant, less spiritual, and less educated than it ever was when I was young. And that's, again, it's accurate, but incredibly sad.
Yeah, it really, really is. Jesus Christ. Thanks, Lemmy.
When asked, do you get hangovers? Lemmy responded, to get hangovers, you have to stop drinking. I thought that's lovely.
Brilliant. And that's how Si has lived his life ever since.
Well, to a degree. I think I'll leave it there, Magsy. Have we got anything we need to dive into in the chat before we get on and talk a bit of graps?
Yep, there was a lot of talk. Andy from Bang Bang podcast, welcome back, sir. We've missed seeing your lovely bald-headed face around these parts. He said, all quotes from Carry On Camping. I suspect he only watches that film for when Barbara Windsor's bikini top goes springing off, I suppose.
You got to slow it right down as well, aren't you?
He's paused that multiple times, I guaranteed. Yeah. Why have you got to Carry On Camping on again in the bath, Andy? Nothing. It's research for a podcast.
Yeah, I'm doing a Carry On podcast.
Scottish Danny said Carver. I think he was talking about maybe the character that Todd Carty played in The Bill. See, our chat is brilliant because they always come and save us in the clutch. Sharon doing a bit of correction. He said it was Hudson who said that, if I'm not mistaken, game over, man. So there is that. Scottish Danny agreeing with me. RT Crowd is legendary. And then Deadpool, sucker cock, makes Sharon lol every single time. And then this one to end, people aren't chocolates. You know what they are mostly? Bastards. Bastard-coated bastards with bastard filling. That is amazing. And it's so accurate because they just are bastards, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much to everybody who tweeted into the show, messaged me, however you get in contact. Absolutely brilliant stuff. You can always get hold of us at @chain_wrestling on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you want to do. But again, thank you so much to everyone who, well, first of all, who responded to our non-wrestling topic, and now we're moving on to it, who voted and retweeted and so on the Twitter poll for this week's wrestling subjects.
This was a roller coaster.
Such a tight poll, wasn't it? It was back and forth, and ultimately, Magsy, I suppose we want to talk a bit of wrestling. I won.
Well, before we get there, I do have something I want to drop. Me and Benny have been squirreling away behind the scenes. He's created a little trailer that I want to play before we get to the wrestling point. So enjoy.
It all started when coronavirus hit and the world went a little caca. In a blink of a cosmic clock, I went from working full-time to sofa test pilot, which could have been fun, if I knew how to Zoom. Fortunately, I had help, an observer from the project named Sai. Unfortunately, Sai is not tech-savvy, so all he could do was lend moral support.
Hello!
Anyway, here I am bouncing around these four walls, putting edits in where it once went wrong, a sort of low-budget Chris Moyles with Sai as my comedy Dave. So here we are with our microphones on Radio Tekkers in what we call the waiting room.
Oh boy.
That is
Yes.
brilliant.
There we go. Season 2 of The Waiting Room, fast approaching. Benny, you're an absolute magician with that sort of stuff. It's absolutely brilliant, isn't it?
I've watched it about 5 times since he sent it in. It's just, it tickles me. It may be better than the original trailer.
It's brilliant. It's so good. It's so good.
It had a little less delinquent in it than I would have liked, but
yeah. Needs more delinquent. A little less facial hair than required as well. I was very clean shaven.
You popping up, hello, oh boy.
That's literally all I'm going to say in the season. We've got 24, 25 episodes, whatever it is, in season 2. And I'm literally just going to say hello and then mute my mic, and that's it. Benny's just going to go then. I'm just leaving it to him.
And the podcast will be better for it.
You prick. Wow.
Anyway, shall we talk a little wrestling?
Not sure I fucking want to, you know.
Well, piss off then.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Magsy.
You're Paul one. I know, you're in the lead. I get it, yeah. It's only you making a competition of this.
Why would you do that? Why would you jump in there and
take
away
your
that
moment?
My opportunity, you know. Oh my God, you're such an infuriating bastard.
There's only you actually making a competition of this. I'm glad yours won. And I was actually really entertained by how Hogan and Shawn Michaels led, and then you tied it up, and then we led again, and then you snuck through in the clutch. It was a real roller coaster of a poll.
There was only like maybe 1 or 2 votes in it as well, I think, wasn't there, at the end? You know, so you probably want to tell my missus off for that, because she was going to vote Michaels Hogan.
Well,
but then she had a bit of a nap, and she woke up.
Forgot.
And she woke up, and the poll had closed. So that may have swung it, mate.
And I didn't even vote with my many podcast accounts as well. So
did you?
Dropped
or
the
did you
ball
not?
there.
Did you say?
I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't. Yeah. So I've shot myself in the foot, but it's a great pick.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? It was good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm like you pointed out, I'm ahead for the first time since we've gone live. I've never been ahead, and I don't think I have for probably best part of a year.
I mean, we may have to do something about that with my picks. I've gone pretty big, but we'll get there. We will get.
I've got a doozy this week as well, mate. I got an absolute stormer.
Yeah. See, this is you making a competition. Now you'll go hard for every single pick to just butter up the electorate. I'm just going for interesting, funny, conversational matches, and now you're just going to go for big hitters after hitters.
Hang on, you're there going, I'm turning it into a competition. You've actively sat there and done a happy dance when your poll has won in the past.
I don't think that's ever happened.
Mate, we've got the video evidence somewhere.
Now, if everyone looks back in the archive, it also bumped the numbers up. So if you can find me doing a happy dance, then I will retweet that.
Yes, there we go. Anyway, John Cena versus AJ Styles, SummerSlam 2016. Mm-hmm. The second match in a trilogy they had, I think it was, wasn't it? Didn't they meet at a Royal Rumble and a Money at the Bank as well?
I think the story started at Money in the Bank. Yep. This was in that period where I was just probably coming back into wrestling, but not really into WWE, more into New Japan. So I know of kind of like the story of it, but I wasn't an active WWE watcher at the time, really.
Okay. I mean, for me, it was brilliant because AJ Styles, I'm a big fan. Me and Sharon, both massive fans of AJ Styles. Watched him in Impact and so on, and then he debuted at the Rumble, and it was like, oh my god, this is insane. This is amazing that he's here. And he had barnstormer matches with so many people, all over the world for various different companies. So seeing him here in WWE and the matches with Cena, I mean, Cena gets a bit of a bad rap, really, but he plays his part here. I think it's not just AJ carrying him. Cena's very, very good in this contest as well.
And in wrestling in general. He's got
definitely.
You are right. He does have a bad rap. The whole, I mean, we've even played off it with the topic of the title of the episode about the 5 moves of doom. But Cena is a very well-rounded wrestler. He's good at telling stories in a ring. He's good at making his opponents look really, really out of this world. So yeah, I do think he gets a bit of a bad rap.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, he definitely plays his part here in making this, I think, really, really good. Yeah.
It's like I said, it's not a match that I've seen pretty regular. I remember watching it after the fact, but going back and revisiting it, the first thing that stood out to me is how passionate this crowd was. I mean, we're in a period of wrestling where everything that the WWE does is shit on, whether that's in wrestling Twitter, our kind of enclosed little bubble, but WWE can never be the winner of anything. But goddamn, this crowd were harped. Absolute the dueling chants of AJ Styles and then fuck you Cena, just brilliant. Really, I think that made the match maybe better than it actually was, and the in-ring stuff was really, really good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I first put the pay-per-view on, first out were Enzo and Cass. And obviously they're from New York, aren't they? And this is in Brooklyn, New York, and so on. But I forgot just how over these guys were. Not relevant to the match we're going to cover now, but I'm just saying because the opening of the pay-per-view.
Technically, it was relevant because when I think in the build-up to this, AJ Styles and the club were actually facing Cena, Enzo, and Cass as a team. So there is a little bit of relevancy there. But yeah, you're right. For all his issues, Enzo was charismatic. He knew how to get a crowd eating out of the palm of his hand, which fair play to the guy. His life choices may be a little bit sketchy, but he's entertaining. You can't not give him that. Yeah,
totally. This comes from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, as we mentioned. We have I can never pronounce his bloody name, Max. Mauro
Ranallo, yep.
Yeah, on commentary with David.
Mamma Mia! Now, I couldn't remember his name for all the time during the match. I kept wanting to refer to him as Byron Saxton. Obviously, I knew it wasn't him, but I think it's JBL calls him David. Yeah. And it took forever to twig that, it's David Otunga. Yeah, and now I remember him. Former Nexus guy.
Yeah, it wasn't particularly memorable as a wrestler, and as a commentator, I'm not
very, very drab.
Either. Yeah,
very, very drab. Whereas Mauro and JBL, I thought, even though they had issues, I thought they worked really well. Otunga was certainly the third wheel.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Mauro Ranallo's a funny one for me because I always enjoyed it whenever we commentate on certain things. But then there were occasions where I wish he'd just turn it down a touch in certain moments. Like he would over-celebrate or be over-enthusiastic about something. Then something bigger would happen in the match. And it's almost like he wouldn't have the next level to go to because he's already got that high, if I'm explaining that well enough.
Yeah, you are. Everything is at 100%. rather than kind of like dial it up as we go on. Yeah, I do get that point, but saying that, I do miss Mauro Ranallo's commentary.
What's he doing now, Mags? Is he doing like any MMA or?
Yeah, I think he's done a little bit of wrestling here and there, but he does do a lot of MMA. I think Bellator he does a lot of commentary for.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good. We have a video package, as always, with these bigger matches on the card, just saying how we've got to this point. And my main takeaway from the video package here was, first of all, WWE are brilliant at doing this. But secondly, it seemed... When I watched it, I didn't notice it. The more I think about it, it seemed like there wasn't that much for them to work with. But they somehow stringed out this video package and made it seem like a lot more went on than it actually did.
Yeah, essentially the build-up to this was wanted to beat up John Cena.
Yeah.
That was the storyline about it. And I suppose if you think about it in the cold light of day, that's a perfectly adequate reason to have a storyline. Cena was obviously the face of the company, the guy that carried WWE through a difficult period on his back, and AJ was the new kid on the block, had a Hall of Fame career all over the world, and he wanted to kind of make his mark in the sand. And how do you do that? You beat up John Cena. It does make sense. Simplicity.
Yeah, very true, very true. We said about the atmosphere and so on, and the, I suppose, reactions to the wrestlers, but the booing for Cena was, as soon as his music hits, was just so good. You know, I love the way that it didn't matter what WWE did in certain times. In certain arenas, the place almost collapsed in on itself with the volume of the boos that Cena would get. Yeah, it's really added to the show sometimes, I think.
And that's one thing about John Cena that is sometimes overlooked, but just even when the crowd absolutely detest him, he gets a reaction from them. Whether you like him or you absolutely hate him, you are going to make noise, and that the worst thing in wrestling is a crowd that's sat on their hands, the crowd that is silent. You will never get that with a John Cena match, and he embraces it as well. I mean, how many times has he come out now with a little tea towel saying "embrace the hate"? The guy is a consummate professional and very, very worthy of being a Mount Rushmore level wrestler.
Yeah, without a doubt. Was it 16 times world champion now?
Yep, 16 times. Literally carried the company on his back. He didn't. We all love Austin. We all love The Rock. We all love. We all put up with Hogan, but they all had people helping elevate them. Cena, for a long, long time, was the only guy in WWE. Oh, yeah. And he had to carry that mantle. And when he goes away for his extended breaks, he's missed. He really is missed. And you can see that when he comes back, and just the crowd reactions he gets, it's just absolutely unreal.
See, I've been very critical of Cena for, I suppose it would have been around this time, and the whole Super Cena kind of gimmick where there's no selling to certain things, and everyone's aware of the flaws, I guess, in what Cena does. However, when Cena went away last time, I was glad to see the back of him. When he made that surprise return when Reigns was in the ring, what was that? A little bit. I honestly, I popped at home. I was like, "Oh my god, it's John Cena!" And I was like,
"Was it for Survivor Series?" I think
it might well have been. But it was exciting. As soon as his music hit, it was like, "Oh wow!" It was a big deal. And I think that shows, even someone who's as negative and as down on Cena in the past as I could be, I think it shows how big a star this guy is when he gets that kind of reaction from me when he turns up out of the blue.
Yeah, and look at when he came back to WrestleMania a couple of years ago as Doctor of Thugonomics Cena.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was. It was, even though you detested him a year ago when he just wouldn't go away. Then when he comes back with the cap and the baseball shirt, he was the best. And Matt Booth from Five Nerds Go, Juan Cena was absolutely amazing. You will not hear me diss Juan Cena. That was a brilliant character for all of 2 weeks.
I mean, we should really get to the match, I suppose.
Nah,
it starts off.
It's a good match. Go and watch it. End of the show.
See you next week. It starts off relatively straightforward, a few headlock takedowns and a few exchanges, and then AJ Styles hits this incredible drop kick, and Cena just gets up and punches him in the mush.
and there is like you said, one of the issues we've seen is that he doesn't sell perhaps when he should. But then saying that, it was very early in the match for Styles to be pulling out a big kind of move as that drop kick. But one thing going all the way through this match, it was damn near flawless. Not in terms of like it being the best match in the world, don't get me wrong, but very little in terms of wrestling botches. These are two of the best wrestlers in the world at the heart of their game. I thought that the action, it was so smooth and it flowed really, really well. But they did have one problem, and that was the marks were picking up way too much of the audio. I think there's one point where you can hear Cena tell AJ Styles that he's going to slam him on the apron. Lo and behold, 10 seconds later, slams him on the apron. That kind of really starts taking me out of it when you can hear that the wrestlers talk to each other. But in terms of the actual in-ring stuff, great work.
See, I didn't hear. What did you watch it on? Did you have your headphones on, or?
No, just on over the network on PS5 on the TV.
I didn't pick up on any of that.
Maybe you were just too into the match, sir.
Again, it's well known I'm losing my hearing. Perhaps I just didn't pick up on it.
Maybe all you could hear is "Mamma Mia."
It's funny you mentioned as well I suppose, for want of a better term, spot calling in the match. Sharon in the chat here has just chimed in, and this is something that she speaks to me about a great deal. Saying about John Cena, she's not taking away from everything he's done, but Shah says, I do have an issue if I can see a guy calling a match. She says that she's the most oblivious person ever, so if she notices it, it must be obvious. And
yet you didn't notice it.
Him, isn't it? I didn't notice it on this occasion, no. But there are plenty of other occasions with John Cena where you have seen or even heard that happening. Yeah. And it does take you out of the moment, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. But as I said, if you kind of like put that at the back of your mind and focus on the wrestling, it was really good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the slam on the apron, that was, AJ Styles slammed Cena with a suplex on the apron, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a suplex.
That looked vicious as hell. Mm-hmm. It had a real snap to it. AJ took a huge back body drop in the ring as well. I mean, he kind of goes up, and then he looks like he's not going to land on his back, and at the last minute sort of flips in the air and comes down. And how AJ Styles moves when he's in midair is fantastic, isn't it?
And especially considering if you look at him from his TNA days, where he was very kind of a slath and kind of wiry. Now he's put on a lot of muscle, and he's still able to pull off some those moves, like you said, calling it in essentially in midair to correct himself. Yeah, he's a great wrestler. There's a good little kind of a section of wrestling when we see Cena pull out the proto bomb, then going for the attitude adjustment or the FU, which is blocked, leading to the Pele kick, and then the early Styles clash, and that popped me because obviously, like I said, going back and not really remembering this match because it was in that lull period of wrestling that I was in. That got me excited. Like I think it was about 6-7 minutes in, and we're already seeing AJ Styles pulling out the big moves. The Styles clash brilliantly taken by Cena. Then we get him kicking out at 2. Yeah, I was getting pretty excited about it.
And it's around this sort of time in the match as well where David Otunga is talking probably the most amount of bollocks he spouts in the whole contest. saying that yes, AJ Styles has been all around the world and hold various different titles, but he's never been in an atmosphere like this before. He's never had a challenge like this before.
Yeah, because he's never been in the Tokyo Dome with like 100,000 people. And I think you hear JBL as well talking about, he's held those 2 RWGP titles, but he's never held WWE Gold. And I'm like, that's cringy, because
it's bad,
those RWGP titles have way more respect on them than current WWE titles do.
Yeah, exactly. And it is, again, it's I suppose it's spinning things to promote your own brand. I can appreciate that. But at the same time, it's like, I just don't even mention it because it makes you seem so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's petty. It's childish.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But there we go. I mean, from David Otunga, you expect it because he does talk bollocks. From JBL, I was a bit surprised, but I suppose he's just towing the company line, isn't he? Mm-hmm. AJ misses a 450 splash. I mean, I love the way he does that as well with a springboard off the ropes as opposed to climbing up the corner.
Yeah.
It's a nice touch, isn't it?
Yeah, just before that, though, I think Cena goes for the avalanche attitude adjustment.
Oh, yes.
Which Styles is able to counter into like almost a torture rack and then a power bomb. Then, obviously, it leads into I think we see the Usigurosha, which Mauro Ranallo actually mentions Hiroki Goto, which is I thought was a nice touch. And then the springboard 450. Cena pulls out a code red.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Who knew that John Cena was an indie darling?
It was surprising when that happened. And also Cena, I know we've seen him do it quite a few times now since, and it always looks a bit clunky and a bit off. But I was surprised here as well to see him chuck a drop kick in as well, a bit earlier than this moment we're discussing now. But he does throw a drop kick in as well, and he looks like he proper platters AJ with it. Like it looks like there's no pulling that back. There's no.
Yeah, he doesn't drop kick with the finesse of an Okada, but he certainly can get off his feet.
Yeah, exactly. And then it all goes to shit because he applies that SDF that we've spoken about before on the show. That makes my skin crawl. I hate it, Mags.
It just doesn't look painful whatsoever.
No.
Whatsoever.
He doesn't pull back at all, does he? There's so much space between the guy's head and, unless he's just got his massive muscular forearms is just crushing the guy's cheeks. That's the only thing I can think of. It just looks like shit.
And is this the point where AJ is able to reverse it and put Cena into almost like a crossface? That looks more brutal than Cena's version.
Yeah, and there's an exchange. It's the same exchange, I think, where it's sort of like Cena goes for an AA again, which Styles drops out of and rolls him up in that calf crusher finisher.
Yeah,
the calf crusher submission. Now that I love. That's a really good looking submission hold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks devastatingly painful as well. I mean, as someone who has sons who practice in MMA, those calf submission locks are brutal. So yeah, at least there's a little bit of legitimacy there with AJ Styles.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not long after that, I suppose, even though the match is, what we're talking, 25 minutes roughly, Magsy, isn't it? 25, 26 minutes?
About 24, 25 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. We come to the finish now. I mean, we've explained this as best we can, but I don't think we've done it justice because it is better than what we're explaining, I feel. But we're hitting on all the big points here. I just encourage everyone to go back and watch this contest. It is well worth 25 minutes of your time checking this out.
The middle, the chain wrestler that links these spots it's damn near impeccable. Like I said, there's very little in wasted movement. There's very little in things that go wrong, but you do kind of focus on those big spots, and they both pull it out of the bag. I mean, you see Cena go for another avalanche attitude adjustment, which Styles is able to counter into like a super Frankensteiner / Hurricane Rana.
Yeah, he just springboards off the ropes onto the turnbuckles and then into the ring, and so almost like one motion. It's quite spectacular. It's
really, really good, and that essentially builds to Cena going for the attitude adjustment, Styles able to change it into a Styles clash. Then we get the phenomenal forearm, and yeah, game over. Cena's done the job. Cena's looking up at the lights. Beat clean to AJ Styles.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant match. I really enjoyed watching it back. I mean, again, the reason I chose this was because I literally just looked up AJ Styles' best matches, and this one was mentioned in a couple of different articles I read. So I was like, okay, let's put this forward. I'm really glad that people voted this way because I really enjoyed going back and watching it. So I won't have watched this since 2016. So yeah, brilliant stuff.
And then even after the match, though, it's not over because you get the tease of retirement from Cena. Takes off the wristband, leaves it in the ring, and he can sell when he's been beat, and he makes his opponents look absolutely superb. He's just sat in the ring, looking up, just a shell of a man, knowing, is this my time? Has wrestling passed me by? Walks up the ramp, and it's almost a sad moment. I mean, we know he's coming back. We know he's only going away to film a movie or a TV show or whatever it is. But yeah, he knows how to tug on those heartstrings.
Yeah, I like when he lost to The Rock at WrestleMania, and he sat in the ramp way, isn't he? Looking completely dejected about losing the match and so on. Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, how good is this then, Magsy? What do we give this out of 10?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the Wrestling Observer newsletter, this was one of WWE's matches of the year. I think it got 4 3/4 stars, which equates to 9.5 almost. I don't think it's that good. Looking back, we've watched a lot better, but we've also watched a hell of a lot worse. I was thoroughly entertained, so I think high 8s, maybe 8.5, seems fair to me.
Okay, I've got 8 this week for this one. I've got an 8, so yeah, 8.5 from yourself, 8 from me. It's very good. It's well worth going back and watching again if you haven't seen this match for quite a while. I think I really advise everyone to go and check this out again. It's quite the contest, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great match.
Yeah. So then, I suppose now we decide, where do we go next? Magsy, where are we linking from SummerSlam 2016, Cena, AJ Styles? Where do you want to go with your potential link for next week? Okay,
so after this match, AJ Styles goes into Backlash, I believe, to face the then WWE champion Dean Ambrose. I think this was his first title run. So this whole kind of like 3-month period of 2016 WWE actually got some pretty big moments. So you've got, like I said, Cena losing clean to AJ. You've got AJ then getting his first world title, his first WWE gold. But something happened the month before essentially in the pay-per-view that leads into SummerSlam. That pay-per-view was Battleground.
Okay.
And on Battleground was the first ever time on televised. I mean, I haven't checked the kind of the house show loop, but the first ever televised time that all 3 of the members of the Shield faced each other in a match.
Oh, interesting.
So I want to go to that match where Dean Ambrose is defending his WWE title. He's basically got the brand of SmackDown on his back because Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins have both been drafted to Raw. So if he loses that match, the title essentially goes to Raw. So yeah, I want to go back a month to Battleground 2016 and Dean Ambrose versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins in a triple threat for the WWE title.
Why? Okay. That's interesting. That's interesting. Because I've gone kind of the Shield route as well. That's so weird, isn't it? That is weird.
The Shield.
Now, obviously, yours is all three members of the Shield facing off against each other. Mine is actually all three members of the Shield as a team for what I remember was the first time on a pay-per-view. The link, just so you know how we get there, I mean, obviously there's various different ways of getting there. Ambrose is on this show and so on. But the link I went with was the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. The first wrestling event held at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn was TLC 2012. So that's where I've gone with the arena as my link.
Okay.
At TLC 2012, we saw the Shield, who were relatively new into the WWE, in a TLC match. And they faced Kane, Daniel Bryan, and Ryback in a 3-on-3 TLC match.
Oh, come on, folks. You cannot vote Ryback. If you vote Ryback, there's something incredibly wrong with you.
I'm not looking at it from a Ryback standpoint. I'm looking at it from...
No, I'm telling the listeners and the CWF, you cannot vote for Ryback.
I go ahead and you're getting all salty, ain't you? No, Ryback, no, hell no. But you do get, well, I said there, no, hell no. You get Team Hell No, Kane and Daniel Bryan, obviously the Shield as well. It's the first pay-per-view the Shield are together on. It's a TLC contest as well. It goes for a decent amount of time. I will have not seen this since it aired 10 years ago. So that's where I would like to go. That's what I think would be quite interesting. TLC match between the Shield and Team Hell No and Ryback. TLC pay-per-view 2012.
Really eerily interesting how we've not, I mean, again, for context, we do not talk about our picks until this very moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's eerie that we've gone for the Shield.
That's strange, isn't it? It's really weird.
On this pay-per-view, there were 12 matches. We could have gone in any direction. So I'll just put Matt on timeout for a second with those feed me more messages. You got 5 minutes timeout there. So it's really strange that we've both gone down the same mindset. So either one of those is a great pick.
Yeah,
pick man.
So Magsy doing his snooker commentator thing into the microphone again.
Oh, that's a bad miss if you pick Ryback.
So those are your options for next week's poll. Magsy's choice of the Shield facing off against each other. So Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins in a triple threat match, Battleground 2016 for the WWE Championship, wasn't it?
Yes,
that's
it
right,
was.
Yeah. That's right. And the second option is a TLC match from the TLC 2012 pay-per-view. The Shield together as a team versus Kane, Daniel Bryan, and Ryback in a TLC match. You can vote in the poll on Twitter at @chain_wrestling there. The poll is normally at Wednesday, Thursday-ish. So keep an eye out for that. Magsy, I suppose that's kind of it, isn't it, for this week?
It certainly isn't. What a great episode it's been. I had a hell of a lot of fun. Some amazing quotes and song lyrics from the CWF. You guys knock it out of the park every single week. I cannot thank you enough. You made this show what it is. You are the stars of the show. It's as simple and clear as that. We are just the mouthpieces. The ugly mouthpieces.
Hey, speak for yourself, mate. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I second everything you just said there, man. It's they never let us down. They never let us down in the chat with the Twitter feedback, anything else. Again, I keep saying it over and over again. This is your show. The show does not happen without you, and me and Magsy are so grateful that you make it happen by being here with us. It's absolutely superb. Yeah. So, keep an eye out for the poll when it comes out after the audio version, which this week will not be late. I apologise for last week's lateness with the audio version.
Oh, he sent me a message as well. He's like,
I was knackered.
I'm so sorry. This week's episode's going to be late. And I'm like, okay, don't worry about it. Real life happens. That's a quote I should have actually said in the centre part. That is one of my mantras. Real life
Yeah,
first.
there you go. Magsy,
and also people, what a bunch of bastards.
Where can these people find you online, my friend?
Well, you can find me there on Twitter at PodfatherMags, or you can find me on TikTok or Instagram as well. Mags All Pods is the handle for that.
You've actually learnt the handle by this week, have you?
I have. I am becoming a TikTok sensation, sir.
Mate, you were literally on a change in attitude this week going, I think my handle's this.
I don't know how it's happened, but I'm just a charismatic son of a bitch, and people have started to follow me.
There you go.
But yeah, follow me on Twitter, on TikTok, however you can get hold of me. I've got plenty of content all the way through the week because I'm just a sad, lonely wrestling fan who likes to talk to people. That was depressing. Have a good day.
Oh, I like to talk to people. Oh, dear me. You can find me online at SJP Words on Twitter. Facebook, you've also got SJP, all the shows and info, a little group in there. And that's where you can find links to wrestling content I do, Nitro Nights with our good friend Scottish Danny, tracing back through WCW from the first episode of Nitro onwards.
That's awesome.
Really enjoying that. Really enjoying doing that with Scottish Danny. It's fantastic.
Often imitated, never duplicated.
Mate, the amount of podcasts me and you do that people have been ripping off, they all just want to fuck off, don't they?
Yeah, it's and big people as well. Going off topic, the same entity that try to take chain wrestling have done it again. They're bringing out a podcast called Pillar to Post, and yet there's a very well established podcast also called Pillar to Post. It's almost like it's hard work doing a 10-second check to see if there's a podcast name.
Well, they just don't give a shit, do they? They think that they're the big boys.
They run roughshod over this community.
Sod the smaller creators, I guess. We kind of drop into that bracket when in comparison, I suppose. But our content's a million times better than them, so fuck them.
It is. There we
go.
But it's not a competition.
No, it's not, which is a good thing for them because we'd win. Anyway, we you can find me on Twitter, as I said, at SJP Words, the group on Facebook, SJP, all the shows and info. Go and get involved there as well. And that's where you can find the links to Nitro Nights, looking back at WCW. You can find the links to the SJP pod when random episodes come out. If wrestling's not your thing, well, first of all, why are you listening to us tonight? But if wrestling's not your thing, there's
because we're charismatic sons of bitches, that's why.
There's a bit of sci-fi, time travel silliness as well with Dan Griffin, with the Doctor Who pod I do there.
And Tammy Sammy.
That's right. And with Benny Mac, the Waiting Room podcast, looking back at Quantum Leap, one episode at a time. Season 2 coming very, very soon. But most importantly, you can follow this show at @chain_wrestling on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and that TikTok thingamy. Magsy, I'm off now to go and watch every single one of John Cena's championship matches to see if I can fit it all in before I go to work tomorrow, because I just fucking miss the guy
back to back. Can you imagine back to back all those matches?
The thing over and over again.
Yeah, that's a killer. I don't envy you. And with that, we are out of here. Bye bye.
I'll see you next week, my friend.
Bye bye.